The first thing people noticed wasn't that I had come to court alone. It was that I hadn't hired a lawyer. I could hear the whispers before I even reached my table. She couldn't afford one. That's embarrassing. My husband didn't bother lowering his voice. He sat beside his attorney, glanced in my direction, and smiled at the woman next to him. The same woman he'd started seeing before our marriage officially ended. "You really decided to represent yourself?" he asked. "You can't afford a lawyer? That's pathetic," she laughed softly. A few people waiting for their own hearings looked over. Some smiled with them, others looked away. I said nothing. There had been a time when I would have defended myself immediately, desperate to explain that money wasn't the reason. Now I understood something different. People who have already decided who you are rarely change their minds because of another sentence. The bailiff called our case. The judge entered, everyone stood. The hearing began with routine questions and procedural matters. My husband's attorney spoke first, polished and confident. He interrupted often, objected when he could, and spoke as though the outcome had already been decided. I answered only what needed answering. Nothing more, nothing less. My husband occasionally leaned back with folded arms, wearing the expression I remembered from the last years of our marriage. The look that said he believed I would eventually become overwhelmed. Years ago, I probably would have. Back then, I had left my legal career after my mother became seriously ill. 1 year became 3. 3 became almost a decade. When life settled, I never returned. Consulting work paid the bills. It gave me flexibility. It also made people assume I had walked away because I couldn't keep up. I stopped correcting them. The judge asked me several questions. I answered each directly, citing the relevant documents already filed, no speeches. No emotional accusations, just facts. For the first time, my husband's attorney hesitated before responding. He flipped through his binder twice. The judge watched quietly. As the hearing continued, I questioned my husband about financial transfers and dates he had listed in his affidavit. Not aggressively, carefully, one answer contradicted another, then another. His attorney attempted to redirect. I remained calm. Silence began replacing the earlier whispers in the gallery. The room felt different now. Not because anyone admired me, because certainty had disappeared. After another exchange, I referred to an appellate decision supporting my argument. Opposing counsel frowned. He looked at me longer than before. The judge lowered his glasses. Then something unexpected happened. He looked toward my husband's attorney and asked calmly, "Counsel." The attorney stood. The judge tilted his head slightly. "You don't recognize her?" The courtroom became completely still. The attorney stared at me for several seconds. His expression changed. "I should." The judge nodded. "She argued the Harrison appeal before the Court of Appeals. We appeared in the same matter years ago." Recognition spread across the attorney's face. "Of course," he said quietly. "I remember now." My husband turned toward me so quickly that his chair scraped against the floor. His confidence disappeared in a single movement. The judge continued as though nothing remarkable had happened. "Professional experience doesn't determine today's outcome," he said. "The evidence does. But assumptions rarely help anyone in this courtroom." No one laughed after that. The hearing moved forward, not dramatically, simply differently. Questions that had been dismissed were answered more carefully. Interruptions became less frequent. Every document received the attention it deserved. When the judge concluded the day's proceedings, he announced that several issues required further review before a final ruling. No one had won. Not yet. Outside the courtroom, my husband approached me without the certainty he'd carried all morning. "You never told me." I looked at him for a moment. "You never asked." There wasn't much else to say. The courthouse doors opened, letting in the afternoon light. People walked past us toward their own problems, their own hearings, their own unfinished stories. I realized I didn't feel victorious. Relief was closer to the truth. For years, I had believed losing a title meant losing the person I once was. Standing alone in that courtroom reminded me that experience can grow quiet without disappearing. Some people mistake silence for weakness. Sometimes they don't discover the difference until they're required to listen.